Hey everyone, this is Darko 2012 from Global Government News, and I'm covering an article posted on Infowars.com titled Americans Want to Be Slaves by Dr. Adam Murdoch, posted January 3rd, 2009. And this is how it goes. Are Americans willing to trade their freedoms for a false sense of security? This is a crucial question that must be answered before a successful struggle for liberty can be fought and won. If it is shown that a majority of Americans will readily trade their freedoms for a fake carnal security, then the cause has already been lost. Let us just examine a few of the events of the last 2 months to see where America sits on the major issues of our day. Recently, we were made aware of the attempt to bring down a transatlantic flight by the underwear bomber. While the facts remain unclear about the events surrounding the attempted bombing, what is clear is the attempt to use the event as a catalyst for further draconian security measures. This includes proposals for, and in some cases, imposition of mandatory body scanning for all passengers. In fact, the Netherlands announced that they will body scan all passengers as a result of the incident. In the U.S., the cry from neocon Republicans has been to adopt such a policy here. In addition, the TSA seized the opportunity to try to turn the airplane into a virtual prison camp. What is most troubling about the whole event is the seeming willingness of Americans to accept the official story without questioning and to submit themselves to any measure deemed necessary by our benevolent government. Now that President Obama is in power, the civil liberties fire that was once burning bright amongst some of the left has now smoldered, leaving few to oppose the new liberal neocon fascism. What evidence do we have that any of these measures will actually make us safer? Indeed, this supposed terrorist had no passport and was on the terrorist watch list. While a simple passport check would have stopped this individual, now the rights of the rest of us will be sacrificed to needless bureaucracy, which will prove to be just as inept. It may be that Americans will be forced into close-free airport zones where government workers will examine every crook, crevice, or orifice of your body. How long Americans will suffer this indecency is unknown. What is known is that the measures will not make us safer. While the underwear bomber event was used to stroke our fears about external threats, two other recent issues of much greater significance are meant to play on our fear about the intrinsic weakness of mankind. The first revolves around the insecurity of all of us over the health of our bodies. Someone claimed the government can somehow guarantee your carnal, or rather physical security from your own body. What is true, however, is that we will all decay and die whether we like it or not. No power on earth can prevent this from happening. Yet what has been proposed with the healthcare reform measures now before Congress and the Senate is that government should become our health stewards by providing universal health care. The implied rationale is that these measures will somehow address our health security. Unfortunately, the truth is that these measures will only guarantee you the opportunity to stand in lines and in most cases will be detrimental to your health and hence your health security. Services that once could be readily obtained through the free market system will be removed in lieu of budgetary restraints. Americans will be turned into hapless and powerless sheep, begging for any ounce of health mercy that a faceless bureaucracy will see fit to grant them. The right to health care gained by a few will come at the expense of the right to health care for the rest. There is no greater example of the fallacy of this socialist healthcare utopia than the death of the actress Natasha Richardson in Quebec, in Canada last year. She likely died because of the socialized healthcare system in Canada. The government of Quebec has decided that medical helicopters were too expensive. As a result, instead of being transported by helicopter, Natasha was driven by ambulance to the nearest hospital a couple hours away. This wasted time was enough to seal her fate. Despite the ample evidence of the dystopian healthcare provided by socialized healthcare systems, Americans seem more and more willing to buy into the media hype about the supposed greatness of healthcare in Cuba, Canada, and Europe. Never before have the forces of socialist America have been so close to realizing their dream of converting America into a suburb of Western Europe. The final and most nefarious onslaught of our liberty has arisen with the attempt to transfer our national sovereignty to a world government over the issues of carbon emissions. Indeed, our very breath has been turned into a toxin needing to be regulated in order to save the planet. The more breaths, the more toxin. Not surprisingly, this has led to calls for world population control for some in China, Europe, and Canada. The fake science used to justify the man-made global warming agenda was recently revealed as a concoction of climate change scientists who serve their own self-interest. Yet Americans continue to believe more in the gloss and glamour than in science and common sense. Unfortunately, the result will be that the American sense of compassion will be turned on its own head. The third world will be starved into carbon compliance, and American ingenuity will be turned into funding industrial deindustrialization. I like how he said that. More and more Americans are convincing themselves that they are vermin and need to be exterminated. They will happily put GPS carbon trackers on their vehicles, smart carbon limiting power meters in their homes, LCD light bulbs in their reading rooms, bikes in their garages, and government camera carbon monitoring systems in their homes just to say they can be cool and feel like they are doing something for Al Gore and the movement. Nobody seems to care about the substance anymore. It is the image that counts. What these examples reveal is that America has become more and more a country filled with cowardly yes men rather than people with courage to stand up for conviction. They have lost the fire of freedom and substituted the frost of fake consensus. Unfortunately, the American ideal has faded in the minds of many. Many no longer know what they are throwing away. It is only when it is gone that they will wake up and realize that the noose is already too tight for escape. It behooves those who have been warned to warn their neighbors. My prayer is that we may have the courage to become active purveyors of our truth. And I'll just leave it at that, everybody. Thank you for checking out this article. I thought it was well written and very insightful. So take care.